Picture yourself at the edge of a cliff, taking in a breathtaking sunset. You're perfectly happy, no dark thoughts at all, when suddenly, ping, your brain casually suggests, hey, what if you just jumped? For a split second, you can almost feel it. Then you step back, probably thinking, brain, what's wrong with you? Welcome to l'appel du vide, literally, the call of the void in French. It sounds deeply poetic for what's essentially your brain being a weird little prankster. And here's the fun part. It doesn't just happen on cliffs. Driving down a peaceful highway? What if you swerved? Holding a precious family heirloom? What if you just dropped it? Chatting with your boss? What if you suddenly started dancing the Macarena? The fascinating thing is that these thoughts don't mean you actually want to do any of these things. In fact, research suggests that people who experience l'appel du vide are often more safety conscious than average. It's like your brain is running a bizarre safety drill. Hey, notice how we're not doing this crazy thing? Good job, us. Think of it as your mind's way of playing out tiny action movies. Your brain loves to simulate scenarios. It's part of what keeps us alive. The same mechanism that helps you plan, what if it rains tomorrow? Sometimes gets a bit dramatic and goes, what if you yodeled during this funeral? It's like having an over-enthusiastic safety system that occasionally works by showing you the blooper reel. What makes these thoughts feel so unsettling is often not the thoughts themselves, but our reaction to having them. We think, oh no, why did I think that? What's wrong with me? But here's the irony. This very reaction, your immediate nope-un response, is proof that these thoughts don't reflect your true desires. It's just your brain doing a very strange version of a system check. The void calls to most of us in one way or another. Sometimes it's the edge of a platform when a train approaches. Sometimes it's the urge to bark during a silent moment in church. These little mental hiccups are part of the wonderfully weird experience of having a human brain. A sophisticated machine that occasionally likes to remind us it has a sense of humor. So next time your brain throws one of these thoughts at you, you can just smile and think, ah yes, l'appel du vide, my old friend. Thanks for checking in, but I think I'll stick to not juggling these eggs in the supermarket today. After all, these moments are just your mind's way of playing an occasional game of what if, complete with some very creative, if slightly questionable suggestions. And isn't it somewhat comforting to know that your brain's random neuron party is a shared human experience? We're all out here, politely declining our brain's occasional suggestions to do cartwheels during important meetings. But let's peek behind the curtain for a moment. What's actually happening in our heads during these moments? Our brains are essentially running a three-ring circus of cognitive processes. There's the what-if center, technically part of our planning and simulation networks, the oh no alarm system, your amygdala having a minor freakout, and the we're actually fine voice of reason. Thank you, prefrontal cortex. These theatrical mental performances aren't limited to dangerous scenarios either. Have you ever had the sudden urge to poke a sleeping person's cheek just to see what happens? Throw your phone into a fountain while taking photos? Say the completely wrong name during introductions? Tip over a carefully arranged display in a store? Give a totally inappropriate answer when someone asks, how are you? These thoughts often pop up more when we're trying extra hard to be proper and controlled. It's like having an internal rebel who shows up precisely when you're attempting to be your most sophisticated self. Picture a tiny troublemaker in your brain wearing a chaos coordinator badge, occasionally pressing random buttons just to keep things interesting. Scientists have found that these impulses might actually serve as a sort of mental calibration system. Like when you check if your oven is really off by double-checking the knobs, your brain sometimes needs to process the contrast between could and should to reinforce your actual behavioral choices. It's essentially your mind's way of playing spot the difference between intrusive thoughts and intended actions. And here's a quirky truth. Creative people often report experiencing more of these random thoughts. It's as if the same mental machinery that helps you think outside the box occasionally wants to throw the whole box out the window, preferably during your most important presentation of the year. The next time you're in a quiet art gallery and your brain suggests doing a spontaneous interpretive dance, remember, you're not losing it. You're just experiencing one of the many peculiar side effects of having a remarkably complex human mind that sometimes likes to spice things up with a dash of chaos. Perhaps these moments are simply reminders that beneath our carefully coordinated adult exteriors, we're all still wonderfully, perfectly imperfect humans, occasionally surfing the waves of our own mind's random suggestions. Thank you for watching.